Hey everybody, this week we're going to be working with AutoCAD and the AutoCAD web app. This video is for the AutoCAD program. So what we'll be doing is we will be creating, and I'm going to drag it over so you can see it, we're going to be creating these two drawings. This is the shim and the key plate. So what we'll do is we'll open up our template inches. If you noticed, I've got it open here. You will go automatically and go to Save As just as soon as you start your drawing. And that's this icon here, or you can hit the A, drop down and go to Save As here. Either one's fine. I'm going to put this in your folder where I've been keeping your stuff this year. And again, like I said, I've got my template inches and that's what's open now, but we're going to call this shim and sign key plate. Okay, so there we go. So we've got it saved. If you notice, it changes names up here. This is important. You never want to draw on your template. This is important. Okay, so the shim is 7.5 by 4.5. So I'm going to start with a box. And of course, I'm going to go into the line command. I'm going to pick my first point. Notice what it says. Pick my first point. Come over. I'm going to type in 7.5. I'm going to get verticals. Notice the green line. So when I did the horizontal line, I had the green line going to the right. Now I've got the green line going up and down. I'm going to type in 4.5 as my distance. Okay. I can do the very same thing coming back this way, or I can use my object references. I'm going to hover. Notice I'm not clicking. I'm just hovering. Now I'm going to drag up. There's a green line, a vertical one. When I get up to here, now I'm going to get a green line both directions. That gives me that point. What it did was it triangulated that distance exactly off the end point, okay? It's called object tracking. So I'm going to click there, and now I can come down. I want a green box. There's my green box. Don't get a triangle. That's the midpoint of the line. And notice what happens here is I don't have to be dead on it to get the green box, but I want to be close. So there, I've got the green box. I click, and I close out the command by hitting Enter or Escape, either one. So there's my box shape. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to put the square in the middle of it. Now that square, and again I'm going to drag it back over, that square is 2.12. Now here's where you need to use your cheat sheet, because 2.12 is 2 1/8 inches, and you need to find 2.12 on your decimal equivalent chart. The key to this is, though, if you wanted exactly 2 1/8, you're going to have to do one of two things. We're going to have to add the 5 behind it, so it's 2.125, or we're going to have to type in 2 1/8 inches in fraction form. And I'll show you how that's done. Now notice this is laid over at 45 degrees. So I'm going to go back into our AutoCAD drawing. Okay? So I'm going to draw a square, and I'm going to draw it dead center of this object. I want to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to line. I'm going to hover here and drag across. Notice my green line. Now I'm going to find my midpoint here, and I'm going to drag up. I still have not clicked. All of a sudden, boom, look what it found. It found my midpoint right here. Now if I draw my square here, it's going to be overlapped in a funny place. So maybe I don't want to draw it there. So this is one of those deals that you sort of have to think about, how am I going to lay this thing out? Now there is another method, and I'm going to show you that. We just drew a rectangle by using the line command, but watch what I'm going to do here. Here is a command called rectangle. I'm going to click on it, and notice what it says, specify first point, corner point, okay? So, again, I'm just going to randomly pick. I'm going to come out here actually and pick. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say dimensions. I can click on any of these buttons down here at the bottom. As long as they're highlighted, as long as we've got a capital letter that's in blue, you can type the capital letters anytime. So, but I'm just going to click on it. And now it says specify my size. Well, let's go back and look at it one more time. Our size of that object, if we go back, was 2 1/8. Okay, so 2 1/8. So I'm going to specify my object. I'm going to type in 2 and 0.125 is one way of doing it. That's exactly 2 1/8. Our other option, I'm going to back up 2. There's my 2 inches. If you'll put a dash and then 1/8. We have to have the dash between the whole number and the fraction. Otherwise, it wants to say 21/8. Okay, and you can't put a space. So either one's fine. So I'm going to hit enter. And now it's asking for my other dimension. So it asked for length, now it's asking for width. Well, this is a square, so it's going to be exactly the same size. 2-1/8. And now which way do I want it turned? Well, because it's square, it doesn't really matter. So there we go. See, when I click on it, now that's a whole object. If I just click on this line, I drew it as a line. That's an independent line. The neat part about this is I can find the center of this object. And to make sure I can do this, if you don't have this cut on, if you'll go to your object snap and make sure geometric center is turned on, it will work for you, okay? If you don't have this checked, remember you need to have from endpoint all the way down to extension checked, okay? So I'm going to go and I'm going to move this object. I'm going to hit enter. I've selected it now. Now look, when I touch it, it shows me the geometric center. There it is. Now where am I going to move it to? All right, I'm going to find my midpoint here and track up. Now I'm going to find my midpoint here and track across. And we should get, boom, right there. That put it exactly where it needs to be. Ain't that a neat trick? So now we need to rotate this. So here's our rotate command. Remember, you do really well with your drawing commands, but you make your money using your modify commands. Here's my rotate. So when we click on rotate, what does it say? Select objects. Well, that's my object I want to rotate. Do I want to rotate anything else? No. So I'm going to hit enter. And now it says rotate, specify base point. Well, I want to rotate right around the center again. So I'm going to hover on the box for just a second. And it's going to light up. I'm going to click there. And now how far do I want to rotate it? I'm going to type in 45 degrees. There we go. That's all it takes. Okay. So we've got that rotated. So what's next? Well, next, let's put these little cutouts in the ends. Notice they're 1-inch cutouts on each end. 1 inch is tall. See my number here? And then how far in those cutouts go? They go in. We have to find our dimensions with our arrowheads. They go in 1.5 inches. Okay, so we can do that. So 1 inch by 1.5 inches. Now, I'm going to go to line again. And I'm going to find the midpoint of my line. There's my triangle. I have not clicked. Now I'm going to start dragging up. And remember, it was 1 inch wide total. I'm going to type in 0.5 because I want to go up half the distance. Now I'm going to come in 1.5, back down 1. There's my 1 inch. And then back to the edge. Okay? Ain't that neat? Put it in place. That's all I need, those 3 lines. Now I need the exact same thing over here. Well, I'm going to use the mirror command. Mirror makes something identical around a mirror point. So select objects to mirror, these 3 lines. Now again, the way I can pick, I can click on individual objects. Okay, that's one way of picking. I'm going to hit escape and I'm going to do mirror again. Or I can start at the left and anything that is completely inside the blue box will be selected. Okay, and I could have started up here and come this way. Either one would have worked fine. The other way is called a crossing mirror. That was a pick window. So I'm going to come this way and notice anything that's completely inside the green box, like the vertical line, or that I'm touching, like the 2 horizontal lines, it will pick. So there's 3 different ways that you can pick something. So now that I've got them picked, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter because I'm done selecting. Now it says specify first point of mirror line. Well, I want to be exactly halfway between where I'm at and where I want to go. Well, that would be right here on that line, or it could be this end point. It could even be that center point. You just want to be halfway between where you want to go and where you want to be at. So I'm going to click there. I can drag down or up, and it will show you what it's doing. Now make sure you're vertical, because see, if you change angles, you get these weird things. So I'm going to drag down, and you can click on something else, or you can just click out in space as long as you're vertical. So I'm going to click, and it says, do I want to erase the source object? The answer is no. And look, no is highlighted. Down here it's inside the less than or greater than. So all I have to do is I can click on that, or I can hit enter, either one, and it'll work fine. So there, I've got those identical. Now let's use this command. This was called trim. Trim gets rid of part of something. Erase gets rid of the whole thing, but trim gets rid of part of something. So I hit trim, and it says select cutting edge. Notice right here, I'm reading a line up. I'm not reading down here at the bottom. Select cutting edge. Well, my cutting edge is going to be here and here. I'm going to hit enter, and now I'm going to say, what do I want to trim? That's what I want to trim. See, notice it shows me what I'm going to be doing. So when I click on it, it does it, and then I hit enter to get out of the command. Pretty good so far. So what have we got left to do? Well, what we've got left to do, of course, is cut these corners off. And notice what we've got. We've got a 60-degree corner. That's 1 1/8 again, 1.25. We would add the 5, or do 1-1/8, okay? So 60 degrees from vertical. Notice this is reading from the vertical, not the horizontal. 60 from vertical, and it's 1 1/8 down. Okay, so let's go do that. Again, we're going to use another command. This one here is fillet. Notice if I hover, it rounds off edges. See, it tells us what it is. Okay, it even gives you a lot of description. But if I hit this little drop down arrow, ooh, look, there's what I want. Chamfer, bevels an edge. Yeah, that's what I want. Look, it almost looks like our object. How about that? So let's click on chamfer. Now notice what it says. Select first line. But up here it says distance 0, distance 0. Well, I don't have distances both ways. I've got a distance and an angle. So these two, to get this to show up, would be distance right here. But I want one with an angle, so I'm going to click on angle. Now it says specify length. Hey, that's that 1 1/8. So I'm going to type in 1.125, which again, I could have done 1-1/8. Either one's fine. We'll hit enter. And now look what it asked for. The angle. Again, we had 60 degrees. Now we got to remember which way that direction was. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter again. It says select first line. That's the one we measured on. That would be this one. Now, we're going to here. It's going to show you, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want. Now if I hit enter, it'll take me right back into it, and look, it remembered what I did. Oh no, I typed in 1 1/8, 1.125, and it says 1.13. Remember, we have our numbers rounded to 2 decimal places. This is okay. It's still going to do 1.25. Again, I'm going to pick vertical, horizontal. Hit enter. Vertical, horizontal. Hit enter. Vertical, horizontal. And hit enter. Y'all, there's that drawing done. That one's finished, okay? So let's slide over and let's start the next one. So our next one is this one down here. Now we've got rounded corners. We're going to use that fillet command, okay? But here's the thing. Notice it doesn't give us an overall size of our box. The reason why, it tells us that it's 5 inches from center to center, and it's 2.5 inches from center to center. But then we have to add an inch on each end to get the overall. So our box is 5, 6, 7, and 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. So it's 7 by 4.5. Okay? 7 by 4.5 is what we're going to do. So let's go in and draw that now. So we're going to start another box. And again, I'm going to use the line command. I'm going to hover right here and drag over here and just get me a good starting point. I'm going to come over, let's say about 6 inches. Okay? Now, 7 inches. And this, but what I'm doing there, do you see the black hand on the screen? What I'm doing is I'm mashing my roller wheel down and holding it and then moving around. This is called pan, so I can see what I want to do. If I roll my roller wheel toward me, it goes away. If I roll it away from me, it comes toward me. It's kind of backwards, isn't it? Okay, so our height was 4.5. Again, I'm going to hover, drag up, get my green crossing lines. There it is. Come back down, click again here. So there's my box. Okay, so we got that pretty easy. Okay, so let's go back and look at our drawing again. So what we've got now, we've got a full circle 3 inches in diameter. Let's go ahead and do that. So we come up here, and yours is going to be like this when you come in. Notice the picture. It's center radius. So if I click on it, it says specify center point. Well, that's the middle of the box. We know that. Excuse me. So again, we can hover and drag over, and then come here and drag down, and it'll find my center point. So I'm going to click, and then notice specify radius. Oh no, that was a 3-inch diameter. Well, I could take the 3-inch diameter and cut it in half and say, well, it'd be a 1.5-inch radius. Or I can click on this. Remember my button down here? So I'm going to click, and now it's in diameter, and I can just type in 3. There we go. That makes that pretty simple. Okay? Okay, so let's go back and look at our drawing again. So our next thing, let's do our corners like we talked about. Okay, we're going to use the fillet command to cut these corners, to round them off. Okay, fillet will round off an outside edge, or it will make a round off on an inside edge. Either one, it doesn't matter. Let's say that we wanted to round this off right here. We could do that with the fillet command also. Okay, so 1-inch radius for our fillets. All right, so let's go do that. So we're going to hit the drop down beside the chamfer, because that's the last command we use. We're going to click on fillet. Notice it puts whichever command you used last on top. If that's the one you want to use, all you have to do is click on it. Okay? So look, radius. 0. That's not what it was. It was 1 inch. I've got buttons again. So I'm going to hit radius. Specify radius. Okay, 1 inch and enter. Good. Now it says select first object. Well, we need 2 corners. Boom. Yep, that's it. That's what we want. Now I'm going to hit enter. It'll take us right back in and look, it remembered our radius. Boom, boom. There we go. Right back in again by hitting enter. Click on it again. Right back in by hitting enter. Look how quick. There's my rounded corners. Okay? Neat, huh? Okay? So let's go back now. Let's go see what else we got to do. Okay, so notice here's our fillet. There's our center point for our fillet. See right here? And the circle has the same center point. That's called concentric. Anytime an arc and a circle or 2 circles have the same center point, it's called concentric. So we've got 4 circles, 4x, that's what that means. That's the diameter symbol, 3/4, 0.75. So I need a diameter of 0.75 or 3/4, and there's 4 of them, and they all use these center points. Hey, we can do that. So let's go in here. This time let's change and just click on diameter. See there? Now, specify center point. I'm going to hover here for just a second. Look, it shows me the center point. I'm going to click there. Now, specify diameter. Notice it's trying to remember 3 inches for me, because that's the last diameter I did. Now, I want 0.75. There we go. Now, I can do one of 2 things. I can draw 3 more circles using the exact same thing. So let's see if I click here. It says specify center point. Hover just a second. There's my crosshair. Click. And look, it remembers 0.75. All I have to do is hit enter because it remembered it. The other thing I could do now is I could mirror these over here. Remember using mirror over here? I could use the copy command. Watch this command. Copy. Specify object. That one. I'm going to hit it. And I could pick multiple objects. I'm going to hit enter. Now it says base point. Well, I know exactly where the center point of this circle is, and I know exactly where the center point is going to be over here. So I'm going to click on my center point as my base point. Come over here and touch the circle. There's my center point. I'm going to click there. While I'm here, watch this. Touch this circle. How about that? Pretty neat, huh? Now, I want to show you something. Let's go back and look at our image again. These are in line, and they're right on the center line, and they're also 3/4, okay? So watch this. This is a really neat trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over this midpoint, and I'm going to drag across. Boom, right there. There it is. Now watch this. Right on that, drag across. I need this one, drag down. There it is. How about that? And hit enter. Now all I need to do to clean this up is draw a line from the top of the circle, which is called the quadrant, to where it intersects. Same thing here. Line from the bottom of the circle to where it intersects. Get out of the line command. I'm going to go right back into it by hitting enter. Same thing. Click, click. Back into the line command, click, click. And get out of it. So there's that. Now I need to get rid of these little parts of circles. Hey, that's trim, part of a circle. Hit trim. Now, did you see this down here? Select all. If I hit enter, everything on the drawing is a cutting edge now. So now all I have to do is click and click what I want to get rid of. Hey, I need to get rid of these too. How about that? Pretty simple, huh? Okay? So that's our basic shape. But we're not done because we've got circles. And look what else we've got. This is called a key plate because these little notches here are called keyways. Now here's the deal with the keyway. This is important. If you notice, we don't measure from the edge of the circle right here or right here. We measure from where the circle and the line hit. So what we have to do is we have to establish these 2 lines first. Well, let's draw us a line in the middle because we're going to need center lines here in a minute anyway. We'll talk about center lines in just a second. So I'm going to go to line. I'm going to click at the middle, and I'm going to click at the middle. There we go, and I'm going to hit enter. Now then, let's go back and look at that drawing again. 0.75. What's half of 0.75? Well, if you did the math, if we opened up a calculator, watch this. Let's open up a calculator. 0.75 divided by 2 equals 0.375. You've heard that number before. That's 3/8. Hey, look, it's 0.38 tall, so 0.375. It's the same height as it is wide from the center out each way. That's pretty neat. Okay, so we need to do that each way. So we can either type in 0.375 or as far as our distance goes, or we can type in 3/8. Either one will work fine. Okay, so let's go look at our object again. So how are we going to do that? I said type in. Well, what command are we going to use? We're going to use this little command. This is called offset. Offset will create parallel objects or concentric objects. Remember concentric? Just by giving a distance. So I'm going to hit on this. Notice it says specified distance 0.375 or 3/8. So I can either do what you see on the bottom of the screen, or I can go 3/8 because all it is a fraction. And it's the exact same thing. Now, click on the object and then tell it which side you want it. Because you're going to move your mouse slightly, it's going to go one way or the other automatically. So I click and look, it comes this way. Notice I come way over here and click again because I don't want to touch anything. Then I'm going to click and I'm going to come this way. There we go. There's our lines, okay? Now, if we go back and look at the picture, see that intersection right there? Not there. I'm going to zoom in. See how low this is compared to that? The reason why that's important, look. This is at this point. It's 3/8 up from there, not at the top of the circle. So let's go in, and I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to hover here, and I'm going to drag up, and I'm going to say 3/8 or 0.375. There's my height, my correct height. I'm going to go across till I touch this line and get an X. There it is. That's pretty neat, isn't it? Okay. So now, I need one just like it down here. I'm going to use that mirror command again. Mirror. There's what I want to mirror. See, select objects. Hit enter. And I'm going to get the very center of the circle or the middle of the line. I'm going to click there and I'm going to drag out horizontal this time and click again. Do I want to get rid of the source object? No, I need that. So I'm going to hit enter. There we go. Now all we need to do is trim out and keep what we need to keep. So let's go back into trim. I'm going to use that select all again, so I'm going to hit enter. And now I'm going to click on what I want to get rid of. Notice it only gets rid of part of this, so I got to do this twice. That's okay. I got to get rid of those lines. I need to get rid of that. 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 Hey, pretty neat, okay? Only problem is this needs to be a center line. If we go back and look at our drawing, see the dashes, long dash, short dash, long dash, see them here? So we need to put in center lines. Anytime we've got circular features, we do center lines. Also, a center line could tell us about symmetry. In other words, it's the very same up here as it is down here. This way, it's the very same over here as it is over here. This drawing is symmetrical. So let's do that. So look, everything I drew, if I click on this, look at the layer it's on. It's on the object layer. What does that mean? Well, it's going to be a thick line. If I cut my line thickness on, look how thick. Ooh, okay? I cut it back off because it's easier to work. So I'm going to click on this line and I'm going to say, no, let's move it to the, hey, center layer. Look at there. It gives me my lines like I want them. Now, how far, it can't just stop on a line. How far out did it go? See, let's go back and look again. See how they come out here beyond all the way around? These come out here, way out here because of the numbers, but notice these over here that don't have numbers, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this blue button right here. We're going to click on it and we're going to drag down and type in 0.25. A center line should go 1/4 of an inch past the circular or symmetrical feature. So you don't confuse it with anything else. I'm going to grab that grip up there, 0.25, enter. There it is. Okay? Now I need one going the other way. It's still blue. Watch this. You know how I mirrored left to right, top to bottom? I can also mirror and flip and make a perpendicular. So I'm going to go to mirror. I've already got my line selected because it was blue. Specify first point of mirror line. Dead center. Now, instead of pulling out horizontal or vertical, because we've got our polar snap set in at 45, I can drag up at 45 degrees. How about that? And click right there. Now notice I got a green line. If yours doesn't do this, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in and say no. If yours doesn't do that, what you need to do, come here, click on this down arrow, and click on Object Snap Settings. You'll get this box. Now, click on Polar Tracking up here. Make sure this says 45. If it says 90, drop down, change it to 45, and hit OK. And that way you'll be able to use that. So again, I'm going to click on this line. I'm going to drag it out this time to here. But then I'm going to grab it again and drag out again and say 0.25. So I have to do it twice. That's okay. Click. Click again. 0.25. There we go. So there's that center line. That's neat. That looks really good. Now I need a center line here and I need a center line here. I can use the exact same one as this. So how can I do that? Well, let's go to copy. So let's copy that and let's hit enter. hey, the known center point of that circle and the known center point of this circle are in line, so I can do that. And then hit enter. And just that easy, there's that drawing. So this is what you're going to be drawing this week. Use this video and it'll help you make a lot of sense out of it, okay? That's all we've got for today. Have a great day, and I hope you do a good job with it this week.